Different's great, but being different for the sake of being different, I'm not a big fan of, right? If you just want to be different for the sake
technology
of it.
increased, I would hide behind it.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes.
Because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Master Connector Show. I'm your co-host, Rob Genovesi, and we want to thank you for joining us today. If you're tuning in live, thank you so much. And listen, we're coming at you live every single Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So bookmark your calendar because you don't want to miss a single episode, because we bring amazing guests to you who are sharing their stories, their skill sets, their experiences to help you level up. Not just that, but to connect with each other and connect with our guests, because, you know, it's the people that you meet in your journey that are going to help you make the difference, that are going to close the gaps in your knowledge to help you become more successful, whatever it is you're doing. And look, if you can't join us every week, that's cool, but go to masterconnector.show and you can see the lineup of who we've got coming up, because maybe you can't make every week, but there's somebody that you need to hear from, because you never know, somebody's going to say one thing that's going to help you make a connection, that's going to help you move past some obstacle that you're up against. Go to masterconnector.show and you can learn how you can become a guest on the show, how to be a sponsor of an episode. Get the word out there about what you're doing. That's the name of the game. It's amplification of your brand and connecting with people who can help you reach your goals. Look, speaking of reaching goals, you know, my co-host and I, Steve and I, we go back 27 years. And I remember when we started out, we were just like, goals? How do you do that? And so we learned and felt our way. We're two former shy guys, two introverts who now become connectors. But there's only one master connector, and here he is, Mr. Steve Spiro. What's up, Steve?
What's up, Robbie G? How you doing, bud?
Good.
Yeah, it's been crazy. You're right. I mean, it's funny that you say that, because, you know, I just figured work, and you'll be successful, but you got to kind of map it out. You got to plan it out, and nobody knows that better than you as the brand builder, the unleash my beast guy. So I appreciate you big time. What's going on, everyone? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. And, you know, listen, I am excited to be here today with you, and we have an incredible lineup here. So listen, here's a question. Have you ever wondered what would change if you finally believed you are enough, you know, exactly as you are? Think about it, okay? Now, I'll tell you this, just to get the level set with you. I was in a crazy place in my life early on. Just before I met Rob, you know, I had, you know, like I said, working like crazy hours, trying to just make it, figuring, you know, hard work is the key to success. The truth is, I was very much wounded as a young boy, as a child. I was picked on and bullied. I was dyslexic, made fun of. I just ridiculed. I mean, you know, I had nicknames growing up, just, you know, not good nicknames, if you will. And I had this like broken heart. And for years, just trying to fill it by trying to be successful and being busy. And the busier I was, the less people had to get close to me. And I wound up getting in business, and, you know, starting an advertising company, and then eventually had a great career in that. And then eventually wound up meeting a mentor and started doing some business development in different ways. And this mentor challenged me and became a mentor to me in the sense that he started getting me on the path of self-development. And, you know, his style, which I still love and appreciate today, he's a great man, you know, whatever, but it was a little bit more, this is what you need to fix. This is what you need to do. And it turned out I wound up reading a book called Wild at Heart. And it talks about, you know, the rite of passage for especially a young man, young boy, you know, somewhere around 10, 11 or 12, you need that, or maybe even younger, you need a rite of passage. You need a father figure to validate you. And it turned out I just needed validation. I needed to know from somebody that I respected tremendously that I was enough, that I was good enough, that who I was good. And I watched this man who was incredibly charismatic and very funny. And I was always going to be a second class him, but I realized I'll be a first class me. And I had some qualities and talents and things that I that were good, and maybe things that he wasn't as good at. And that was okay. I was good enough. And But here's what that turning point for me, and everyone's going to have a turning point. Number one, I wound up going to it was a silent meditation retreat. It was like 4 days. It was in, I think, New Hampshire. It was really a cool experience. So bizarre. We're walking in rooms with people, and you weren't supposed to look them in the eye. And we were encouraged to walk and meditate simultaneously. So just you're not looking at people, and you're walking randomly through rooms. Very, very bizarre scenario. But I remember early on, I looked outside of the window and I saw a bird on a branch, and something struck me and said, you know what? It's good enough. They're good enough. I'm good enough. We're all good enough. Everything is going to be okay. And I was okay. I found peace that way. And then the last piece there was a lot of pieces, but another piece for me was my sister had a therapist she would go see. She spoke of his name was Bob, man of the cloth, high respect for him. She had, and she talked so well about him. And I was like, I'm going to go see Bob because I knew I needed to fix something. I was feeling this like hole. And, of course I had, spiritual journey, and that helped a lot, but there was still this missing piece. And I went to Bob and I was sat on his couch, and he said, as we second session or whatever. And I told him my story. And as we're meeting up the second time, he says, Steve, can I say something to you? You're sitting on a couch, same spot. A lot of people come in here and they're messed up. They are messed up, but I'm looking at you and I hear your story. You're incredible. And he started reading back some of the things I told him I had accomplished. And he's like, you're amazing. And I just needed that. I needed somebody in my life finally to validate me, to tell me that I was enough. I was good enough. I was good the way I was. And you might need somebody like that in your life, or maybe it's going to be a spiritual experience. Maybe it's going to be somebody told me recently they took mushrooms and they saw this imaginary shaman tell them stuff. Whatever. I'm not condoning that. I'm just saying whatever your experience is, you're going to find it, but you got to figure out that you are enough, and you are. God gave us, all a seed of greatness within us. We all have the greatness in us. So you are enough. And so hopefully by the end of today's show, you will believe more in yourself and you will know you can accomplish whatever. But let's get on with it. I'm going to pass this over to my amazing co-host, Mr. Robbie G. Type in "Let's Go" community as we bring on our guest. Robbie G, let's go.
All right, let's go, everybody. Eric Brooker is a dynamic keynote speaker, best-selling author, and host of the globally acclaimed podcast, Counsel Culture. With 25 years of experience in corporate America, Eric has become a leading authority on leadership, culture, and the power of relationship capital in the workplace. His keynote presentations are known for their compelling insights and practical strategies, drawn from his extensive career and conversations with top leaders and innovators from companies like Chipotle, Campbell's Soup, Reebok, and Disney, as well as former NBA and NFL athletes and best-selling authors. As the author of the best-selling book, You Are Enough, Eric brings a unique blend of expertise and personal experience to his talks, inspiring audiences to foster meaningful connections and build positive, inclusive workplace cultures. At this event, Eric will share his insights on the crucial role of relationship capital, building a people-first culture, and how leaders can effectively drive organizational change. Please welcome to the show, Eric Brooker. What's up, Eric?
What's up, guys? What a golly, man, a heck of an intro. I need this every time I walk into the kitchen, I come out of the bathroom. I need an intro like that. But guys, super excited to be with you today.
Well, I'm available for rent, Eric. I could just follow you around and introduce you to every room you go into.
Done.
Absolutely. He's great. That's why I keep him on. He's not getting the pink slip yet. That's for sure. So I love him. Anyway, great to have you on, Eric. Excited to dig in here. So let's get right to it. So in the opening, we're talking about your self-worth, right? So, to me, it's hard to accomplish great things if you don't believe in yourself and you don't have that self-worth. So I want to ask you a question. Community, type in #worth, and we're not seeing the comments, so I'm guessing that maybe we're having a technical issue. So if you're putting in the comments, do it anyway, and we may not call you out, but we appreciate you being on here. So here's the question, Eric. How can someone truly internalize that they are already enough without outside validation like I needed?
Well, if I'm honest, I think we all need that validation. I think that's what we're all here for. I'll tell a story, and it doesn't directly answer your question, but I had one of my kids pull me in my bedroom the other day. It was going to be one of those father-son conversations, although of my kids, this was apparently the father, and I was all of the sudden the child. And they looked at me and said, Dad, why did you write that book? And we went through a couple minutes of iteration of why I wrote the book, what the impact of the book, what we were hoping for, what the impact of the book has been over the last couple of years. And they said, when was the last time you told me that I was enough? And tears started streaming down their eyes. I started getting emotional.
Oof.
And what I realized was it's easy to say, I love you. It's easy to pat someone on the back. It's easy to say, Steve, great job. Looking at someone in the eyes, you talked about that silent retreat. I'll do the inverse of that. Looking someone in the eyes and telling them, Steve, Rob, you are enough just as you were made. We need to hear that. I think the answer to your question is we were all uniquely and wonderfully made by our creator, regardless of whom you think that creator is. You are here for a reason and for a purpose. And it might be, among many other things, letting someone know that they are enough. The person bagging your groceries at Target, the barista at Starbucks, your coworker after they just have an abysmal month in sales. We need to hear that, and we need to tell people that they are enough.
You know, that's really powerful, Eric. I got 4 kids myself. I gotta tell you, I grew up in a loving household, except, we're a bunch of Italians from New York, so nobody actually said it.
Yeah.
And it was, it wasn't exactly like I thought I could do anything in the world that had impact. I really struggled for most of my life and vowed I would never do that to my kids. And my parents didn't do anything to me. It's what they didn't do out of just maybe ignorance. And, even with my kids, not a day goes by where there's not an I love you. And for the 2 that are still home, a hug and always. And what I realized, what you said just now, I'm like, oh my gosh, telling them that they are enough, that they do have worth and they can do it is still that added component that helps them succeed, because they still doubt themselves. They go, oh, yeah, I know you love me, but I don't think I can go do maybe what you're doing or somebody else.
But the challenge, so as a father of 7, 1 who's out of the house, 6 who are still at home, 19 to 6 at home, we've added that as a part. We had that conversation with one of our older kids just, I don't know, 2 months ago. And we had the conversation, and it's changed the way we interact at home. I don't let the kids go to bed without telling them that they are enough, because when we have I would call it an examine, or when we reflect on the end of our day and think, well, what did I do well? What can I do better? What are areas of improvement for tomorrow? We all do that in some capacity. Even my little guy, we all look at the areas that we failed and we start to question our worth. And then there's that inkling of dad in my ear or dad on my shoulder saying, son, you are enough just the way that you are. It's a nice reminder. It's a nice reminder for all of us.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I want to add one more thing onto that, because I get the feeling that when people are listening to us talking right now, they might be thinking this more pertains to our little kids, or you're speaking to tweens and teenagers who are still developing. When I left corporate America and I was in my 40s, I told my mom, I started a business. I'm not going back. And she was like, I could see the look on her face, like, oh no, he's going to fail.
Yeah.
She was like, are you sure that you know what you're doing? Like, even that, and I was in my 40s, I should have been fully confident, but not having that from somebody so close to me in my life, I was like, I had to bolster myself because that had an impact. Like, if she had been like, you can do it, I've seen what you can do, you're amazing. If she said that, I would have been like, yeah. Like, instead I had to go back and
the book title comes, I'll share briefly, but the book title comes from a conversation my wife and I had in October of 2020. We were in the throes of COVID. My sister-in-law had unexpectedly passed away after a lengthy battle with alcohol addiction. We drove from Minneapolis to Phoenix for the funeral. We spent a couple weeks with her family, and driving back, we're leaving a retail center, and my wife looks at me. I hadn't written the book, hadn't even thought of writing the book. And my wife said, I just wish she knew. Now, I knew she was talking about her sister because we had just left the funeral earlier that day. But I said, what do you mean? She said, I wish my sister, 31 years old, knew that she was enough, knew that she didn't need validation from men or alcohol or others, but just, again, she was uniquely and wonderfully made by our creator. And that in and of itself makes us enough. We're all going to get fired. We're all going to struggle to pay our mortgage.
Yeah.
Some of us are going to foreclose. Some of us are going to have miscarriages. There's other moments of celebration, buying a house, getting pregnant, getting engaged, all of those things. We're all going through stuff. I think the biggest challenge with us recognizing our worthiness or questioning our worthiness is social media.
Yeah.
I've got friends in Italy right now, and golly, man, I'd kill to be there right now. And all of a sudden now I'm comparing myself, and we all do it.
Yeah. The comparison game. Yeah. It's crazy. This is fascinating. I just want to, number one, I want to welcome amazing, speaking about more than enough, is Yolanda Shin. She's an incredible, I'll call her a member of the show because she's here every week. We just appreciate you.
Love it.
And Samuel Kimu, which he goes by Kim, had a call with him recently. It was great to finally meet him, coming from the continent of Africa. Incredible to be with us. And Jody, new friend. So I connected with her on LinkedIn, and she said she was coming up to Boston, and her and her husband stopped in my town, and we had coffee. And so she's appreciating the conversation, but just good to have everyone here with us. And you know what? The reason I chose to kind of self-proclaim myself not as the master networker, but the master connector, is, to me, it's all about connection. And connection is built through relationships. And that's when you have the opportunity to sow into people and have people sow into you and tell you those validation points. But I do want to talk about relationships. So community, type in #relationships. And here's the question. It may be a little off topic a little bit, but I think it relates. And I think you'll do a great job of tying it together. Why is relationship capital just as important, if not more, than financial capital in achieving success, Eric?
It's a great question. This isn't just my opinion. It's actually proven to be more valuable, because if you build and establish relationship capital with people, there's Gallup polls that had come out of my ears. I mean, they're everywhere, that suggest that we work harder. We are more diligent. We're more focused. We're more willing to work harder for others. As an example, I took 2 weeks off for this funeral, now almost 5 years ago, and the people around me all picked up the pieces. Now, we all had to get real, raw, and vulnerable with one another because COVID had just hit, and I had a kid in my background and a dog in the corner, and that might have been in the middle of my biggest meeting. And so we all got real with one another in a different way. But when we build and establish relationship capital with the people around us, and let me be super clear, I'm writing my second book. This is what it's all about. When I say build relationship capital with the people around you, it's not your coworkers and your family. It's your coworkers, it's your family, it's the guy bagging your groceries, it's the teenager that you hand the cart to when you're walking out of the grocery store so they can take it back in. It's the barista at the coffee shop. It's everybody, because we're all going through something. Somebody today, somebody right now that you're going to interact with before the end of the day needs to know that you care. And it starts with putting this away. It starts with being present. It starts with listening for the response. It starts with looking someone in the eyes and saying, Steve, how was your day? You're going to say it was great. How was yours? I'm going to say, Steve, but really, how was your day? What was the highlight of your day? What was the low light? What would you have done different? Now we're engaging in conversation. I write about this a little bit in my first book, and at the suggestion of my wife, I started taking my own advice, and I put the phone down and I walked into Target. It was my first be present moment in a really long time. And I'm going to test this theory as I finish the book. And I asked the woman bagging my groceries, probably 75 years old, how's your day? And I didn't have my phone. I left it in the car on purpose. She said, it's fine. How's yours? I said, but really, how's your day? And she looked me in the eye and she started crying. And I said, oh my gosh, is everything okay? Again, 75-year-old woman, right around the holidays. She said, I lost two of my kids this time of year. She said that one passed away to an illness and the other committed suicide. And
Mm,
it's just a difficult time of year for me.
mm,
And as I walked out, we had a nice conversation. As I walked out, I realized everyone's got baggage. Everyone's
mm.
going through something. Hers is pretty big. Mine with my sister-in-law, that was a big event. Someone got a flat tire today. $250 repair. They don't have
Mhm.
250 bucks. That's a really big moment for them, and that's okay. But we need to be there to listen. And that relationship capital, to answer your question, will drive revenue through the roof.
I love it.
One thing you said, Eric, and yeah, so two things actually that you said, 2 points. I want to reinforce the audience. Sometimes we say things, and to the other person, it's a greeting. How's your day? Great. How's yours? And you move on, right?
Yeah.
But you asked it again, which is what stopped her, right? So you really wanted to know, and she could see it in your eyes clearly. And that kind of thing is what helps build connections. And Steve and I have learned over the years, it's about the connections that
Yeah.
build the relationships. That's why he's not the master networker. And the other thing, for the audience's sake, is this: what you said, I'm sure went right past people. One of the hottest things I've ever learned in relationship and connection building: listen to their response
Yep.
and then respond in kind.
Yeah.
But so many people are formulating what they're going to say before you're even done talking, so they
Yeah.
don't hear what you're saying. And nothing kills a relationship more than, I didn't hear what you said.
Well, what's interesting to me is I taught this a couple months ago at a keynote that I gave, and one of the questions I got maybe the next day is, "Hey, you talked a lot about relationship capital. I've got a one-on-one with all of my team individually tomorrow, but I don't have anything to go over with them. Can I cancel the one-on-ones?" And I said, an even better reason to have a one-on-one. Take them all out for coffee, meet them for lunch, meet them for breakfast, like whatever that routine is, ask them how their family's doing. How are you doing through whatever, it was easy during COVID. How are you handling COVID? Do you have the things that you need? But we don't have to get super vulnerable, but we have to your point, Rob, we have to ask the question and wait for the response. And building relationships before we talk about KPIs and TPS reports and quotas and all of that far outweighs the personal relationship. You're going to keep your employees happier and longer, and they're going to make it a place that they recommend others work if you establish a relationship with them.
I love that. Yeah. I don't know if anyone called it the TPS reports, but movie, Office Space, funny, hysterical movie. Little dirty, but it's a funny movie. That's great. And listen, so I was not at a silent meditation, but I was at a spiritual retreat this weekend. And, we were broken up into small groups, and the leader of the group said, "Hey, who are we going to minister?" And, I said this, I said exactly what you said. I raised it and I said, listen, everybody that we come in contact, we can minister to by just acknowledging them, appreciating them. Right. And yes, if there is an opportunity to engage beyond just that sort of pleasantry. So it's so important. Because to me, listen, when it's all said and done, true success is not how many things, it's how many people are better off because you were here. True impact. That's my definition of impact. So community, we're going to get into the next phase here. Type in hashtag impact. So this is a question for you, Eric. What shifts when leaders start measuring their worth by their impact on others rather than external metrics, kind of like what you just started talking about, those KPIs, if you will?
Oh man, the impact is great. I'll share a story from
Please.
my first book. And Kevin Berthia was 22 years old, had a 51-week-old daughter, so almost a full year old. And we all know Kevin Berthia's name. If you're unfamiliar with the name, Google image his name, and you're all familiar with this man in a white shirt on the wrong side of the Golden Gate Bridge speaking to an officer, Officer Briggs. And the impact that Officer Briggs had that day was he spent 92 minutes 92 minutes talking to Kevin Berthia and eventually getting him from the wrong side of the Golden Gate Bridge to the right side of the Golden Gate Bridge. Now, there's more to the story and why Kevin felt compelled to jump off the bridge and all of that. But what Officer Briggs did at his entire beat as CHP was the bridge. He did this 200 times over, I think, an 11-year career. He saved all but two. He uses a different word. I'll use the word saved. He saved all but two. And when they would come to the right side of the Golden Gate Bridge and he would sit with them and console them, he would ask, because he wanted to learn, what did I do well? What got you back? What did I say that brought you back? And Kevin Berthia looked at him and said, I'm 22 years old. Nobody has ever listened to me. You spent 92 minutes listening, and you're the first person to ever listen to me. Again, Gallup polls galore, but the reality of it is I've quit jobs because of bad leaders. Everybody watching this right now has quit jobs because of bad leaders. Steve and Rob and Eric, we've all done it. But when you have an impact that outweighs revenue goals and EBITDA and other candidly insignificant goals and targets, the impact that you can have can literally, as in the case for Kevin, can be life-changing. We just have to make the conscious decision to choose to make an impact, to have these conversations, to engage people with the level of depth that they're comfortable with.
Love that. That's great. Wow, it's powerful. I want to try to slip in one quick one. I think it's important. You know, not everyone has children. You have 7? Is that what you said? 7.
Yeah.
7. I thought Rob was crazy with 4. You got 7. It's amazing. But anyway, I have 0. My wife has a kid. You know, you're speaking to him, right? So, so legacy is different when you don't have kids, right? I think sometimes people look at their kids as their legacy, but I think there's other ways to create a legacy. So I want just to touch on legacy real quick. Community, type in #legacy. And here's the question as we wrap things up. How does embracing the belief I am enough help people build a lasting legacy through the connections they nurture?
My legacy is not going to be the revenue that I drove. No one's going to go to my funeral, whether it be tomorrow or 40 years from now, and talk about, wow, that guy was a really good salesperson, or that guy was a really good general manager, or that the legacy that I build, the legacy that all of us build, is the way we treat others. I talk about integrity. I think we'll try it. I think we can use the word legacy. But your legacy is what you do when no one's watching. You do the right thing because it's the right thing, not because you're going to get credit for it. The legacy that you build, the way people will talk about you, in my case, the way my kids will talk about me, is what I did when no one was watching. And the decisions that I make as a parent, am I choosing at 7 o'clock at night to scroll or go play football? I wanted to scroll last night. My 9-year-old wanted to throw the football around. But those little moments, and if you're in an office, it's those little moments at the water cooler or the copy machine. Those little moments where we choose to be present and engage with people and ask how they're doing. How's your week? No, really, Steve, how's your week? And then remembering it or writing it down. I write everything down. We got a new dog a couple weeks ago. If you got a new dog, I'm putting that in my CRM, not because I don't care enough to remember, but I'm going to have probably 75 conversations between now and the next time we talk. And I want to be able to ask you, because I care, I want to ask you about the dog.
That's right.
So I write it down.
I'm with you. So I ran into a guy at the gym, make a lot of friends out and about. Rob knows that. It's my sickness. Anyway, and you know, I think we met like, I want to say 7 years ago. And he's like, yeah, I think I remember. And I went into my phone and I read, and I told him, listen, I take notes, right? And he's like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I told him everything about himself. He's like, wow, that's amazing. So yeah, it's so important. Take those notes. I love it. But listen, this is great. we got to close up. I want to just ask you, I know you have something amazing offer you want to offer our community. Tell them about that. And also, if you can, best way to reach you, if you would. Eric, incredible job.
But I appreciate the opportunity to come on the show. What a great conversation. So the easiest way to reach me is either LinkedIn, and it's just Eric Brooker. You'll know that it's me because of the blue glasses and the beard. Or my website, ericbrooker.com. Steve, when I do that look, when I shave the beard, I look like I'm 11, and my wife doesn't like it. In terms of the offer, the first 3 people that, you know what, let's make it 5. The first 5 people that reach out to me directly on LinkedIn and reference this show, I will mail them a signed copy, each of them a signed copy of my current book. Although we've got another one coming, we'll give them the You Are Enough book. And again, gentlemen, I appreciate the time today.
That's great. Listen, community, take advantage of it. Connect with Derek. Eric, you're amazing. We're just going to have you go into the green room, but thank you for blessing our audience big time. We appreciate
Thank you.
All right. Wow. Incredible. Well, and these shows, I feel like we can go on another hour and a half if it's crazy or more, but we gotta, the show must go on and the show must end. Right. Listen, next week, incredible episode 232, October 8th, a week from today, How to Lead Confidently with Tara Gooch. It's going to be an incredible show. If you love today, you're going to love next week. She's amazing. If you want to learn more about some of the up-and-coming shows and bookmark it, go to masterconnector.show. If you want to learn how to be a sponsor of an episode or you want to be a guest, we're pretty tough on the parameters there, but go to the masterconnector.show. I want to close with a quick story, right? Oprah's protege, Iyanla Vanzant. I don't know why I'm telling these stories with people I could barely pronounce. Apologies if I'm saying it wrong, but no disrespect. Went from a childhood marked by poverty and abuse to becoming one of the most respected spiritual teachers in America. After multiple personal and financial setbacks, including losing her home and business, she rebuilt her life, wrote the best-selling books actually, and launched her Emmy-winning show, Iyanla, Fix My Life on Own. Her story shows that when you listen and listen, here's the deal. It shows you that you are more than enough, right? And you really need to understand that. Embrace your worth, rise from the hardships so you can really inspire others and ultimately be that light. God bless. We'll see you next week.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.